Hello you lovely cubs, it's the Dragon Lord here back again with another video. Now today we're doing another Demon Slayer What If. Now, before I get into it, this video will have spoilers, so if you haven't read the Demon Slayer manga, I recommend you get out. Or well, this series is gonna have spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I wouldn't watch this series. I don't think there's going to be that many spoilers here yet, but there are going to be a few hints to spoilers later down the line. Anyway, today we're doing What If Tanjiro was Yoruichi's student. So, without any further ado, like and subscribe if you're new around here. Like goal for part 2 is 20 likes, as, you know, sometimes it is. So anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat, you'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs and go tick tick. Boom, you blown me that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's Ramadan. Sick, twisted, gifted. Can't copy, printed. Can't hold me down. I shape shift, I'm liquid. I killed this beat, I might get convicted. They know how I move.
Our story starts with Tanjiro Kamado, eldest son of Tanjiro Kamado and Kie Kamado. The boy was dancing with his sister. They were imitating his father's Kagura dance. Tanjiro was quite captivated by it and wanted to learn it, but whilst dancing the boy fell over and hit his head. The boy had no injuries and was actually fine, although his parents were worried. The boy had gotten a small scar from the incident, but for the rest, he was okay. A few years later again, he'd harm his head, protecting his younger brother from a boiling pot of water, and his scar worsened. The day after, he'd performed the Kagura with his father to practice it, but whilst practicing he heard a voice. "Demons. Fight them. Demons." Tanjiro stopped as he looked over at his father. He had heard stories from his grandmother, but never really asked about them. "Father, what are demons?" he asked with a confused look on his face. His father stopped dancing as he looked at his son, surprised. "Demons are... Are you sure you want to know?" his father asked with a slightly saddened expression. "Yes, I'd like to know," Tanjiro would say with a determined look on his face. Although he knew what the word demon meant, he wanted to know if demons existed. His father had understood his question straight away. Tanjiro would enter the home as he removed some of the floorboards. Nezuko, who was outside watching them dance, was looking inside, interested in what her father was doing, with Tanjiro standing next to her. "Dear, you're not going to show them that, are you?" Kie would ask with a worried expression. "The boy wanted to know, then he should know," Tanjiro would say, as he walked outside with a katana and a black uniform. "In this world there are beings called demons who hurt and eat humans," Tanjiro would say. "I used to be part of an organization that fought against these demons, but I quit shortly after joining. This organization is called the Demon Slayer Corps," Tanjiro would say as he showed his uniform and katana. Tanjiro would grab the katana and unsheath it, revealing a red blade, as the voice spoke again. "Breathe and fight," the voice would say. Remembering his father's teachings, Tanjiro took a breath and performed Hinokami Kagura's first segment. Almost as if he was in a trance, he'd performed the sword moves, until his father stopped him. Although his father was speaking to him, he couldn't hear his words. "Not bad, although you need training, but we'll start on that tomorrow," the voice would say as Tanjiro saw an image of an old man talking to him. He'd pass out slowly after, because of using the Hinokami Kagura. The next day he'd wake up with his father next to him, although Tanjiro would wake up confused on how he got there. "Tanjiro, are you alright now?" his father would ask as he patted him on the head. The old man, where did he go?" Tanjiro would ask as he looked up at his father. Old man? His father would say with a confused look. The old man with a scar on his face, he'd say as he stood up. Tanjiro, please sit down. You might pass out again, his father said, worried. Tanjiro didn't listen and ran outside of the house, although he couldn't find anything, until he heard the voice again. I'm still here, but you should probably calm down, the voice said as Tanjiro turned around and saw an old man standing there. Tanjiro, you shouldn't be outside right now, Nezuko would say, worried about her brother, although the young boy's eyes were fixated on the old man, wondering why he was there. Tanjiro, you should be resting right now, his father would say as he picked up the boy and brought him inside. But the old man, Tanjiro would say as he pointed at the spot the man stood on. There isn't anybody there, Tanjiro. You need to rest, his father would say, bringing him inside. After a few hours of sleep, Tanjiro got up and went outside again. There again stood the man. Who is he? Tanjiro thought. My name is Yoruichi Tsujikuni, the man would say as he gave a faint smile to Tanjiro. Tanjiro was shocked that the man read his mind as he would speak. Can you read my thoughts? Tanjiro would ask. Well, yes and no. Only ghosts that are related to a person can fully read their mind, although I can get fragments, the man would say. What do you mean by ghost? Tanjiro would ask, confused. Well, boy, I've been dead for over 400 years. It's quite a miracle that you can see me. I'm kind of happy about it. After all these years alone, the man would say as he proceeded to sit down, although he was floating. Maybe I can see you because I hit my head? Tanjiro tried to come up with a reasoning for all of this. Maybe or maybe you have a gift, Yoruichi said as he pointed at Tanjiro. After all, you did perform sun breathing. Then again, you're Sumayoshi's descendant, he continued. Well, anyway, your form was kinda sloppy, so let's fix that and start your training, Yoruichi said as he stood up. Wait, training? Tanjiro said as he was confused. Well, you're gonna become a demon slayer, aren't you? After all, you held a Nichiren blade, Yoriichi would say. I don't want to become a demon slayer, Tanjiro said, as he turned around ready to go back inside. That's a shame. Still, it would be good to learn the techniques, so that you can protect yourself and your family, Yoruichi would say, saddened at his own past experiences. Well, I guess a little bit of training wouldn't hurt, Tanjiro would say as he grabbed a stick. A stick? Are not going to use the blade you held yesterday? Yoruichi would ask. That blade, it belongs to my father. Very well then, let's get started, Yoruichi would say as he started teaching Tanjiro the basics of breathing styles and the sword techniques. 3 or so years would pass, and Tanjiro's father, who sometimes watched as Tanjiro trained, had sadly passed away. The boy inherited his Nichiren blade and Hanafuda earrings. He also inherited the Demon Slayer uniform, but his mother had tweaked it so that it no longer resembled the actual uniform. Tanjiro had already learned all the basics of Yoruichi by this time, although he hadn't mastered them. He felt like he should truly master them now, as he should protect his family in his father's stead. So for the following 3 years, he started dedicating a lot of time to training. Of course, he'd help his family out first. With the help of Yoruichi, he'd easily master all the forms of sun breathing, and although his body wasn't fully capable of keeping up with it, he still had become quite a bit stronger. His scar would also have become more like Yoruichi's, although not completely. That winter day, Tanjiro would set out for the village to sell charcoal. I'll be back by night, Tanjiro would say it before leaving. Arriving at the village, he'd help people out like usual, and they would buy his charcoal like usual. The day would quickly pass, and Tanjiro would want to go up the mountain, although he got stopped by an elder-looking gentleman who offered him a place to stay for the night. He'd eat and then go to bed. Wake up. Wake up, Tanjiro. Your family is in danger. A voice would speak as Tanjiro woke up. He'd get his stuff and grab his sword as he made his way up the mountain. "It's hard to see," Tanjiro would say as the snow was mostly blocking his view. At full speed he made it up the mountain. 2 minutes later, arriving at his house, right there Nezuko was laying outside as a man was pouring his blood on her. "Ah, another sheep to be slaughtered. I'll kill you first before I get the family inside," the man would say with a smirk, but when Tanjiro drew his sword and took a breath, the man was horrified. He could almost swear that he saw the ghost of the man that traumatized him, but as he woke up his arms were severed. As he looked up, he saw an angry Tanjiro prepared to strike at him. Remembering the trauma that he had received in the past, the man ran away. Tanjiro looked around, but the man was nowhere to be seen, as he quickly turned around and ran towards his bloodied sister. She was protecting her younger brother, who was fine. "Thank you, Tanjiro," his mother would say as she came outside to pick up Rokuta. "Bring her inside so we can treat her," his mother would say with a worried expression. He did as she said and brought his sister inside. Luckily, none of his other family members got hurt, although he was quite worried about his sister. Who was that man, Tanjiro thought. "Kibutsuji Muzan," Yoruichi would say with an angered expression as soon as Tanjiro laid Nezuko down. "I'll tell you about it later, boy. Just help your sister for now," Yoruichi would say. Tanjiro and his mother Kie would be bandaging up Nezuko and trying to help, but she just didn't seem to get better. Tanjiro decided that he'd have to bring her to a doctor. It now being morning meant that he could traverse the mountain at an even faster speed. He grabbed her and he started running down the mountain, leaving his woodcutting axe in the hands of his brother so he could protect his family. He'd secretly been training his younger brother a bit, so that he may protect the family if anything happened to Tanjiro. Halfway down the mountain, Nezuko started moving around on Tanjiro's back, as Tanjiro slipped and they fell down the side of the mountain. As he landed perfectly, he caught his sister, which made her wake up. Realizing who he was, she stopped attacking. "Brother, where are we?" she would say, confused. "Well, I was rushing you down to a doctor, but all your wounds seem to be healing by themselves," Tanjiro would say, shocked. "She's been turned into a demon," Yoruichi would say as he floated next to them. But before Tanjiro could finish speaking, he could feel a blade coming for them, as he deflected the attack. In front of him now stood a man with long blue hair and blue eyes, as he pointed his sword at Tanjiro. "Why are you protecting that demon?" he'd say, infuriated. "She's not a demon, she's my sister," Tanjiro would say, which almost brought tears to Yoruichi's eyes, as he remembered his brother. "I'm a demon?" Nezuko would say, confused. She didn't really feel much of a difference beside that she felt lighter. "She's not attacking?" is what Giyu thought. As he got in a stance, he rushed at Nezuko, but Tanjiro would get in his way again, preparing to take the blow. Of course, Giyu wouldn't harm him, so he'd hit him with the blunt side of his sword, but Nezuko would actually jump in front of Tanjiro to protect him, which made Giyu realize that she's not evil, so he backed off and spoke to the two. But sadly, that's where I'm ending today's part. Next part will be dropped if we get past 20 likes, so do like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new around here, and comment down below to help this video reach a broader audience. Join the Discord as well. You don't have to, but it's always happy to have you there. Anyway, my name is the Dragon Lord, and I'm signing out.
Tell me a story.
There was once a pale man with dark hair who was very lonely.
Why was it lonely?
All things must meet this man, so they shunned him.
Did he chase them all?
He took an axe and split himself in two, right down the middle.
So he would always have a friend.
So he would always have